Do you see here? Hi, guys and gals. Well, I'm in my hotel room. Uh, nothing to see here for the moment. Just going to say that I've had a big day, but a little update. I don't seem to be in focus here. I'll try and get in focus. I'm doing this directly in iMovie on the iPad, so we'll see how it gives. Now, a little bit of an update since yesterday. Really interesting stuff, of course. But yeah, I did get that geocache. I didn't mention that yesterday. And I got essentially the spot out of my shirt. Using tissue paper, basically Kleenexes and a special, these oxy soaps that, oxidize and whatever, and a lot of patience and time and cold water, not using hot water to fix anything, and pretty much managed to get everything out. Lucky boy. Okay, so today, meetings, and then I went to see a storyteller. I will put up a little bit of what he said, and then I went to have a nice meal and watch a little bit of music. I didn't take much video of the music because, after a while, it's kind of like always the same, especially when I'm showing it. So there was a funny little story, though, coming back from the play yesterday. What I forgot to mention was I was walking at one point behind and then later on in front of a lady. I would have said her mother and grandchild, and I could see that they let me pass by them. They were probably worried about this old geezer walking behind them. And then I walked into the hotel, and I heard the little boy saying something like, "I told you I saw him in the hotel." So it was kind of funny because I had the impression I might have heard him, but the little boy definitely had noticed me. And today I saw them, and he pointed to his mom and grandmother. I don't know what he said, but towards me. So it's like the old geezer again. Okay, so that'll be it for now, and I'll put up a few things. This will be probably a rather longish video because if I add some things to it, but that's just the way it is. Okay, DC signing off from Cork. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
When I was a small child, it was understandable with no electricity or television or whatever, that we'd gather together in various houses, even in the villages, not just rural areas as such. Even the small towns had special houses that you would gather. In our town there was one particular place. It was the blacksmith's forge at the west end and the shoemaker's shop at the east end. And if you ever wanted to know what was going on anywhere with the adults or the children or whatever, those were the two places you went to first. What was really lovely about the blacksmith's workshop was you heard about the entire area of Beara, because various people brought their horses in to be looked after, maybe to have ploughs made or gates made or whatever. And then if you went to the shoemaker's shop, you got all the sporting stuff. And just to give you an idea of the innocence, really, in the sense, which I thought was beautiful as a young man even, we thought we were smarter than the older people. But some of the men would gather on a Monday morning, they'd sit in with the shoemaker, and one guy had been in the Irish Army, and he'd been doing a summer camp on Bear Island, which had been an old British military establishment. And he was full of roguery, this man, and he was actually a projectionist in the cinema as well. So he came in one morning and he told the older man that the new aircraft carrier from the US was so big that there was 2,000 people on board the aircraft carrier as crew, that they would slaughter so many cows, there was so many farmers having to supply all the vegetables. There were so many, there was a hospital on board, there was airplanes on board, and the old shoemaker looked up quite genuinely and he said, "Christ," he said, "it must be some sight in the air." And immediately the guy who, the projectionist, turned around and he said to him, I tell you it's his man, he said, they're not allowed flush the toilets when they're flying over New York. So it went for a whole week around the area, it kind of got all out around and came back into town the following week. And when the projectionist came in the next Monday morning, somebody said, duck. And we looked around and there was the shoemaker's hammer stuck in the wall just behind where the guy had been standing. So if you're going to say something bold or bad, always remember to go all around and it'll be added to, and then you have to come back and answer for what you started. So very good. So I always start my storytelling, and the people that are like me start the storytelling with a blank book, really. I mean, that's what the oral storytelling is about. It isn't scripted. You could not script it. And the reason, truthfully, is that, as you know, storytelling was there long before any books were ever written. But the truth of the matter was, when I was young, a lot of what I would have called our peasant race, the normal people of Ireland, quite a lot of people really didn't have very good education. Now, they could read, they could write their name or whatever, but the possibility of standing up in front of people and reading even a very short piece out of a piece of paper would have terrorized them. And the reason being that their accent was very heavy, they'd find it very hard to pronounce things, as well as that the authority had a terrible habit in Ireland of keeping you in your place. So if you attempted some very large word and mispronounced it, or you didn't quite know or understand what it meant, you could really be humiliated very, very easily. And I had such an experience once when two friends of mine met one evening in the house. And one boy had been lucky enough to make it to Trinity in Dublin. And the other person should have been really on my side, but was quite impressed with the boy who had made it to Trinity. And they were having a conversation about things, and the word, which a lot of people obviously as adults will understand, the word eunuch came up. And I happened to mispronounce it by saying, it's a eunuch. Now, the laughter was hilarious, but could you imagine if there was more people than two around? I never forgot that word, and once I corrected it in my own head, it still causes a bit of embarrassment to me when I bring that up, you know. No, they obviously didn't mean, you know, they're saying, how could anybody be so ignorant that they wouldn't understand what that word was, you know. So it's all of that kind of thing. A girl in Dublin, apparently, one time, a country boy went in, and again he said, could I please have a cake by Gattox? And she said, it isn't Gattox. What's wrong with you, you know? It's Gatto. So she said, what flavour would you like? And he said, I couldn't give a O. So there's a lot of words that end in different things, and if you shorten them and widen them, and you have to be very, very careful when you're telling stories about your audience, because sometimes you can have grannies or granddads, or you can have lovely young people, or you can have people that would be quite impressionable at times, and it's kind of, you'll all understand here this evening, it's an open session for younger and older people. So I'm the older person and you're the younger crowd by the looks of it, so that's great. I really do feel like the granddad now, which I am as well. The tradition usually kind of was held by telling stories around the fireplace. And I'm going to a period of time, obviously now, even when I was small, there were still some of the houses left that I would visit that looked like I'm going to describe. So if you could come with me and build your house, then you'll know where we're at when we're doing our stories. So the English held that, after all, Beara was named after a Spanish princess. The King of Munster's son had been wounded and taken to Spain in 1200, had fallen in love with the daughter of the King of Castile, and then married her. And when he brought this beautiful princess, it must have been a lovely fine day like this, because Beara looked beautiful, you know, she could actually see the mountains and so. And she said, so fantastic. And he said, well, you're beautiful and fantastic, and I'll call my place after you. So when you really think about that, several princes came from Spain to try and win this woman back. And she's buried just outside, not too far from my own house, on Malin. It's the name of the mountain, Malin. And the bigger mountain then is Hungry Hill, which there is a story written about, if you ever get a hold of the book by Daphne du Maurier. It's about the O'Sullivan Bear clan and the Puxleys, who came from Cornwall and did the mining. First of all, in the 1700s they came, to look after the interests of the Eyre family in Galway, in Berry.